So in today's video, I really want to talk about something that I've been reflecting on deeply in the last couple of weeks, and it's something that I shared as well at a talk, a women's conference recently, and it's that there's so many high capacity women, so many leaders, so many visionaries, so many ambitious, capable women have this conditioning of mistrust. It's this conditioning of, I can't really walk in my bigness. I can't trust my ambition. I can't embody and walk in my ambition. It's the who do you think you are conditioning. And I just want to touch on how that has come about in my life and how over time, high capacity women like myself, like you, have learned to abandon our big dreams, our big visions, the big, rich, juicy life that we really want because we've got other things to take care of. We don't give them a chance to materialize and actualize because we just completely reject them before we give them a chance to actually bear fruit. I really do believe that a lot of high capacity women really believe that it's down to discipline, consistency, a lack of belief, a lack of confidence as to why they haven't materialized the business that they want or materialized the rich, juicy life that they want or the 6 figures a year that they really want. They can think it's down to discipline, lack of confidence, not working hard enough. But what it really is just years and years and years of psychologically minimizing yourself, minimizing your vision to feel safe, to feel comfortable, and being attached to the old identity of what you've always known. So that's what I really want to explore in today's conversation. Okay, so let's get into lack of safety around your own expression. Let's get into lack of safety around your own big ambition, your own bigness. And this has something, like I said, I've been reflecting on, and that's something that I've talked to at a recent conference with women. So for me, many years ago, when my children were a lot smaller, I wanted to start a body care brand, and I have always been in love with body care, moisturizers, butters, creams. I am a girly who loves to bath. I love, the bubbles and having my glass of wine, having a book or my iPad, watching some Being Mary Jane or some kind of rom-com. I just love lighting my candles and relaxing and then coming out and wearing my nice silky, nightgown or whatever and wearing, some beautiful body cream. I just loved all of that ceremony. I love all of that loving on myself, especially as a mum. You need your evenings, to kind of love on yourself. So being that kind of woman, I wanted to create something with the ingredients that I loved. And as a black woman, I've always grown up using cocoa butter. And it's just something that we've always used and something that I've always been comfortable with. And also something that I love the smell of. So, and I know that that ingredient is really popular in a lot of projects and I know the benefits. So I spent a while coming up with this idea of this brand. I went and embarked on a course on how to create your own products. My kitchen turned into, like a laboratory, and the house was buzzing and oozing with all these fragrances and ingredients and shea butters and oils, and it was just magical. And I really fell in love with it because it enabled me to be creative, and I'm a very creative person. And I love business, own it back then. But in my mind, I wanted to be the black version of Jo Malone, who had gorgeous body care products and fragrances. And it had all of the cocoa butters and the shea butters and all those kind of things. And I spent a lot of time building a brand. I spent a lot of time creating amazing formulations, and still to this day I actually do use them. And I have creating soaps and cold pressed soaps and bath bombs and body oils and body, balms. And oh my goodness, when I think about it now, I just think, oh my goodness, why did I even stop? But I did stop. I stopped, and I spent quite a bit of money on my branding, getting labels, getting certified, because you have to spend money with a chemist to get your product certified. But I really went on a tour around different parts of the UK, where I would go to different outdoor markets, festivals. I traveled around to sell my products, and I had beautiful displays. I had beautiful bags printed out and signs, and my kids would come and my partner would come, and we pack up the car and set up. It was when I think about it now, years later, I just think, wow, I really did a lot. I really did something amazing. And what happened is I gave it up. I gave up. I gave up on my bigness. And to this day, and my mum reminds me all the time, why don't you go back and start that brand again? She still has a label. She still has the products in her bathroom. And she was so proud of me and so in love with it. Even some of my friends actually mention it as well. And sometimes when your iPhone brings up the pictures of, look what happens many years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And then I've got these pictures of me standing in my stall with with my products, and it's all set up and displayed all beautifully. But what happened was I gave it up. I didn't fully have the capacity, or I didn't feel safe in my vision. My vision, and I remember now looking at my business plan that I wrote of how much sales I want, where I want my products to be. I had such a big vision, and I was stepping into it. I was taking the steps. I was walking the walk. I had the products, the labels, the certifications, the qualifications. I actually created the product, but I gave it up. And I think that's down to lack of self-trust. It was down to lack of representation. Not seeing it and seeing other women do it. The only representation was Joe Malone or other big brands that were on the shelf already. I was from the UK, so I didn't really see all these other big brands. I mean, since then, we've got like Carol's Daughter and all those other brands that are available now. But back then, when I started it and when I was doing it, it wasn't like, I felt like I had this big vision, but I was too small to carry it. And at the time, I was not working, I had children, so I was relying on government assistance. So to help women like myself who are unemployed, who had children, to create businesses, you could get advice from, the government, the job centre in the UK, who would help people like me who had ideas, who wanted to create businesses. But I think when I explained what I wanted to do, and I had a meeting, and because I'm a law graduate, so if you're going to ask me to do a business plan, if you're going to ask me to do a document and produce a document on what you're doing, I'm going to go all out. I'm going to be up all night. I'm going to do the damn thing, you know what I mean? Because I'm one of those women that's going to take it there. So I had a big business plan, very professional, very well done business plan. But what they're used to was someone going in there and saying, I just want to, cut lawns, or I just want to, maybe do a nail business. It wasn't like, oh, wow, I want to be like the next Joe Malone, and I want to have my products in Sainsbury's and M&S, and I want my products in Boots, and I want to have this store and that store, and I want to go nationwide. It was just way, way, way too much for them. And the energy that I got, and I remember telling my mum, the man that I had my meeting with, he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I know the woman who has a company who makes soaps, and she's in Sainsbury's, and you're going to need way, way, way more money. She has a lot of connections, and she this, she that. And it was a lot of the energy that I got, and maybe that's like the energy that I was feeling, but he projected it and said it out, was what I got back. The feedback that I got back from him was, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? This young black woman with all these kids. Well, I have 3. These kids who doesn't have a lot of money, where are you going with this vision? Like, let's back it up a bit and let's just go back to something smaller. And it was the rejection, it was the lack of support, it was the lack of representation, it was the lack of championing, yes, you can do this. And being, a mother, having a lot of responsibilities, being the backbone of my family, it was like, I can't do this as well. I can't hold this. I can't be the next Joe Malone. I can't champion for myself and create this big, amazing, beautiful brand. I just didn't have the capacity, because all I knew was, okay, you've got kids to support, you've got a family to support, you don't have the time or the energy to put into this. And I feel so many women out there who are mothers, who have responsibilities, who really studied, worked hard, gone to college, university, who've got these amazing qualifications, but they're just like, I can do more. I believe I can do way more. There's way more inside of me. But where am I going to get the time? Who's going to help me? How do I put the ambition into a pathway? Who do I seek help from? How am I going to do this? I don't have the time and I don't have the energy, and I have so much responsibility, and there's so many people riding on me to keep things together. There's so many high capacity women who put their ambition, their bigness, put it on the shelf and wait for later. But then the later never comes, because there's always going to be someone who's going to want something from you. And the trick is to make sure that you are at the top of the list. And this is something that I've learned over the years. This is something that I've learned. And I look back now and I realize, wow, what you created, what you envisioned for yourself, what God placed inside of you was amazing. It was amazing. And if I had the self-belief to take it there, I'm telling you, it would have been there. You would have seen me in the malls. You would have seen my products on the shelf. You would have seen that. It would have been big. And it's only because I didn't have the capacity. So I thought to make it into reality. So as I've progressed in my own entrepreneurial journey, and as I've spoken to and coached many women. So the thing is, many women are taught to survive, are taught to get on with it, are taught to people please, are taught to be the backbone, to be a good woman and take care and nurture, but also provide, and not to own, your bigness, to not be so expansive, to not keep wanting more and more and more. It's about taking care of. It's about putting yourself on the bottom of the list rather than at the top of the list. And many women are not lacking capability. They're doctors, lawyers, they're in high positions in organizations. They're not lacking capability. You're not lacking capability. But it's the attachment to identities built in survival. It's the matriarchal wound. It's the generational pattern of being the backbone for everyone else rather than yourself. So why do so many high capacity women stay stuck? Why do they stay stuck in careers that don't serve them, that don't fulfill them, that don't give them that rich, juicy life that they really, really want? Why do so many high capacity women start businesses but then throw them out the window? Why do so many high capacity women have these wonderful, amazing, juicy ideas, expansive ideas, but then give up on it? Because staying attached to the old identity feels safer. It's because that's all you've known. Expansion feels threatening. Stepping into that bigness feels unsafe because you've never done it before. Not only that, it's the fear of judgment and fear of visibility. It's the fear of standing in your truth, owning who you really, really are. It's the fear of owning your bigness. And that's not easy because many women have been emotionally punished or been told to be quiet because they're too ambitious, they're too expressive, they're too expansive. They want too much. Why are you being so greedy? Why are you not content with what you already have? Why can't you just sit down? Why can't you calm down? Why is your head always running on this idea and that idea? So what happens then is, oh, I'm being too much. Oh, maybe something's wrong with me because I have all this ambition. So maybe I should just kind of dim it down a bit. Let me just put it away. Let me just shrink myself a bit and be content with what I have. Let me be content with the woman that I am. But that ambition, that expansiveness, that seed that's inside of you to create and to build and be abundant, it never goes away. And that is what I talked about recently at this talk, because that vision that I had for my business, I've always had these goals to create business. I love business and I stand in that now. I didn't stand in it then. I love creating. Being in business allows me to be creative, allows me to create whatever I want. It allows me to create not only financial pathways, but it allows me to create a life for myself and my family. I get to design the life that I want. I get to choose how I work. I get to choose how I receive income. And that's what I love to do and help other women do the same.